Hi guys! This is one of those topics I didn't realize was important until I experienced it for myself. And I think a lot of us, especially women, make this mistake without even realizing it. We get too comfortable at work, not in terms of effort, but in terms of boundaries. And I want to talk about that today. It never starts in a bad way, it actually starts in a very natural way. When I first started working, I remember just wanting to feel comfortable. You're around these people every day. You talk, you laugh, and slowly you start opening up. Talking about your life, your relationships, your finances, your plans, and it feels normal. But over time, that line gets to blur. And this is where things get complicated. You don't even realize it's happening, but work stops being just work. I remember a time I invited a colleague over. We were close, we spoke every day, we'd have personal conversations, we'd talk about our families, our personal life. And there came a time where it got so personal, we would even speak about finances to each other. Like, we were extremely transparent, so open, we were really close. And once you get connected in that way with someone that you work with, you tend to want to spend more time with them, more personal time, aside from work, outside of work. And we ended up spending time with each other outside of work. At first, it would start as us just going out for drinks, and then eventually our husbands met and they clicked, and it progressed to our kids meeting and they wanted to spend time together. So it became a relationship outside of work. She saw my personal space, she became more familiar, and our boundaries softened with each other. At work, she spoke to me differently, more casually, like we were friends. And I started feeling it, that subtle loss of separation, work and personal life. What was once professional became personal. But then the boundaries crossed a line when she asked me to borrow money. At first, I felt uncomfortable, but on the other hand, I wanted to help because I knew this woman personally. And so I said yes. And the reason I said yes is because I felt this pressure that we're supposed to be friends, outside of work. We're not just colleagues. And I wanted to just show my kindness. And I also felt guilty because I could help. And I thought, why not? She's my friend. And then what happened after me borrowing her money is almost every second week after payday, she'd ask to borrow money. And then what happened afterwards is I borrowed her the money, but she never paid it back. There was always like a story about how she's really having a tough time financially, and she will definitely get the money to me when she can. And then another payday passed and she asked to borrow money again. And take note, she hadn't paid me for the previous money she's borrowed. And then once again, I gave in to her long, sad story that she sent to me. I borrowed her more money. After the second time of borrowing this woman money, I basically thought, you know what, this is it. I don't want her to take advantage of me. Like, even though we've got a personal relationship, I don't want lines to get blurred to the point where I end up disliking this lady because she's not keeping to her end of the bargain. She's not keeping to her promise. So it kind of changed the dynamic because as much as we were open and we were friendly, money can sometimes complicate a relationship. And what it did was it made life quite awkward at work because I did have like a bit of a bitter energy towards this lady for not paying me back after 2 paydays. And after that, it was no longer just a work relationship. There was tension and expectation. And I realized something. Money changes the energy between people. And that's when it really hit me. This is a workplace. It's not my personal life. Not everyone needs access to you. And familiarity changes respect. Boundaries protect peace. So I should have just said no, I can't help the first time. Only because this is a place that I go to every single day. There's no escaping it. It's not like a family member that I see over the weekend sometimes where I could say no and they wouldn't see me if I didn't feel like it, type of situation. I'd have more control over their access to me. And in this case, I didn't. She would see me every single day, whether I liked it or not. And so I started noticing things, how people talk, how information spreads, and I realized not everything needs to be shared. Just because you work with someone doesn't mean they need to know you. So now I move differently. I'm still kind, I'm still respectful, but I'm more private. I'm more selective about what I share and how much of my personal life I share with colleagues, and it usually stays at a minimal level. It's very surface level. Like, I would basically just share the fact that I'm married, maybe my husband's name, my daughter's name, and that's about it. Anything further than that wouldn't get shared with a colleague at work. I'd keep my home and work life separate. I actually haven't experienced a situation where a colleague asked me for money after that situation with that lady. But if ever it did happen again, I'd know to say no from the get-go and not let it drag out to the point where it creates tension at work. The other thing I also do is I observe more and I speak less. I feel like this is the tactic that's gotten me out of unnecessary conversations where I'd feel that obligation to share information that I didn't really need to share, or you end up sharing information and thereafter you're like, why did I tell them that? I didn't need to say that. They didn't need to know. But there is that, it's a strange situation to be in because you spend so much time at work. It's weird not to share some personal information with these people you see every single day. So like now, I don't feel the need to explain myself. I don't feel the need to be understood by everyone. Peace comes from boundaries, not closeness. And if you're someone who is naturally kind, open and friendly, I want you to hear this. You don't have to stop being that person, but you do need to protect yourself. And I am speaking directly to women because I know we're the culprits. We're usually the ones that find a girlfriend at work just so that we can feel comfortable, because we all know how awkward that feeling is when you're the newbie and you're sort of like an outsider at first, and as soon as you latch onto someone, you sort of feel like you need to spill, and we spill to the point where it overflows and becomes toxic. So I think it's important not to be a people pleaser and stand your ground when it comes to your boundaries at work. Not everyone deserves access to your personal life, and that's okay. I think this is one of those lessons that you only really understand after you've experienced it, like me. Luckily, I can save you from learning the hard way. That's why I wanted to share this. So, work is a place of business, and the moment you forget that, you start paying for it emotionally. And that's my story for today, guys. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Also click the notification bell if you'd like to see another one of my videos and listen to me yap. Bye.